Hey guys, so welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney 2. Let's carry on where we left off. We're starting to get to the bottom of what exactly happened the day Gregson died, and that includes solving a side case, like we're in judgment or something. Specifically involving the disappearance of Mr. Vigil. We found him disguised as Gossip, also known as Hugh Boone, by the way, the owner of the room where Gregson was found murdered. Turns out it was his office while he traded information out on Fresno Street. But, I think there's a spanner in the works now that we've identified him, because it's now looking like Van Zeeks is back on the table as the prime suspect for murdering Gregson, considering Vigil was tied up by these two red-headed clowns. So, yeah, we're back to square one, basically. What? Ah! Kazuma knows. He pounced like a feral cat.
Order, order, order! Indeed, it would appear that we have reached a de facto conclusion of sorts, but it's 5 p.m. and I really must have my dinner, so let's adjourn for the day, please.
Please, Judge, say that.
These witnesses had no involvement in the murder of the victim, as proven, somewhat ironically, by the defense. And they're guilty of another crime, as proven by themselves, so really, it's opposite day today, I think.
Ugh. I'm just concerned with getting the truth is all, you know? I'm playing on hard mode, my lord.
I hereby call an end to the cross-examination.
Okay, well, thankfully the jury's not here. Oh, Kazuma, what are you doing? I'm the one who's ironically performing my own duty here.
Pardon me, my lord, but with your permission, I would like to pose one further question to the witness.
Kazuma?
What question, counsel? It concerns the events of 10 years ago. I believe you would have been present at a very significant execution that was carried out at the time.
Oh, really? Is he going to be able to answer this on the record here?
10 years ago? The execution of the professor, Genshin Asogi. I want to know exactly what your involvement was. Oh. Answer me, man. One moment, counsel, please. Is this related to the current case?
Loosely.
Naturally. It is the prosecution's belief that this case and the events of 10 years ago are inextricably connected or linked. Well, your theme is rather catchy and goddamn authoritative. Does the defense concur, counsel?
Kazuma, you're not yourself. You're not as calm and collected as usual. Well, yeah, the reputation of his father's on the line. Plus, he bumped his head.
Poor Kazuma-sama. No wonder he's acting this way. Mr. Vigil's memories of what happened 10 years ago would tell the tale of Genshin Asogi's last moments. His own father.
I know. I do understand that. But even so... Because, Prosecutor Asogi? Do you genuinely believe that this question requires an answer in order to learn the truth behind Inspector Gregson's death? Well, yeah, man, we're collecting a bunch of stuff for the court record, stuff that involves what happened 10 years ago, so yes. On a meta level.
I need you to trust me. Please.
Okay, you're my best friend. Of course.
Very well.
Then the defense has no objection, even though that's kind of the point of this game.
I see. Well, I don't give a shit, it's classified.
Imagine.
In that case, you will answer the question, witness.
We know you tried to help him escape or something, right?
The truth is, I remember very little of that time.
You've forgotten? It was only 10 years ago!
I'm sorry to say, yes.
Plus, it was a traumatic time, right? He lost his job. I don't think he wants to think about it that often.
As I said, I resigned from my role at the prison 10 years ago. But for some peculiar reason, my memory of the events leading up to that moment is extremely hazy. Does that not strike you as strange, Mr. Naruhodo?
Sorry? Someone not remembering something that happened 10 years ago? I don't blame the guy. I don't remember what happened last month. The entirety of 2021 is a black hole in my memory.
Well, 10 years is a long time, but to have forgotten the reason why he left such an important job.
Yes, you're right.
And not only that, Mr. Vigil's claim contradicts what we already know. The human spirit is a fragile thing. It's broken all too easily. Which is why we have a tendency to wrap it up for protection. Sorry? The human spirit? I wasn't possessed by a human spirit. The graveyard was behind the prison. I'm afraid I don't understand what you mean. When we experience pain and suffering that we feel unable to bear, we block it out, obliterate it from our memories, seal it away. But it never truly leaves us. If the seal is broken, the memories resurface. And when they do, that fragile spirit may finally be crushed.
Yeah, we're gonna crush your spirit, Vigil!
But I really don't. Kazuma-sama.
Does he have two swords, I just realized? But if it must be crushed, so be it! Because the truth will not stay buried. It's coming out, one way or another. He's getting hostile.
Right. Now I understand. It's clear what his intentions are. He means to expose the truth, at any cost.
We've lost him, Susato. We need to bring him back.
Perhaps if I pointed out the contradiction in what Mr. Vigil claimed earlier,
it might cause some crucial memories to return to him.
But should I? Should I present the evidence or not?
Do it. I have no idea how this is going to go, but this is a court of law, and I have a duty to pursue the truth. I'll crush his fucking spirit. Mr. Vigil, I'd like you to look at this. Evidence that clearly contradicts your version of events. You did not resign, my friend. You were let go. Dismissal notice. He forfeited his redundancy pay rights and other financial benefits, too. Let's present it.
Take that!
We have it here for a reason. Just a few moments ago, you made the following statement. I resigned from my role at the prison 10 years ago.
Well, yes.
In other words, you claim to have left the post of chief warder of your own volition.
Well, yes, of course. Why?
Tell me. Do you remember seeing this document before?
No. No, I don't.
This is a dismissal notice ordering the immediate termination of a prison staff member's employment.
A dismissal notice?
And the name on the notice is yours, Mr. Vigil. Look, it says here, Mr. Vigil.
What? It's mine?
So you didn't resign from the prison service at all?
For some reason, you were dismissed as chief warder from Barclay. No, there's been some mistake. I'm sure. I'm sure I tendered my resignation. This dismissal notice is nonsense.
Is it?
Isn't it?
Oh, it's all coming back to him.
If you were forcibly dismissed, there must have been a good reason. Clearly, you did something. Mr. Vigil, it's time to break the seal and have you remember. Here's your long list of crimes. According to the few remaining records.
Is that a few remaining records?
The final execution that you supervised was on 17th June 10 years ago. And on that day, something very serious took place at Barclay Prison. The 17th of June. Was that the professor's execution? Professor. As you were the chief warder at the time, it stands to reason that you would have been present throughout the proceedings. It does sound familiar. And yet, that execution never took place.
It what?
The convict, ostensibly executed earlier that day, later emerged from his grave. The convict came back to life.
In the cemetery in the middle of the night.
It was witness. However, the witness claims that a moment after he saw the convict clambering out of his grave, a gunshot rang out from over his shoulder, and the bullet pierced the professor's chest, killing him instantly. Those may have been the professor's actual last moments.
Was this like his attempt to escape from prison, fake his death at the execution, clamber out of the grave when no one was around, only someone was around?
Yes. Yes. Seeing as you were in charge of overseeing executions at the time, you must know the truth about what really happened. It's in your head, somewhere deep down. Well, Chief Warder Daily Vigil?
I mean, Kazuma's about to snap his desk in half. Mr. Vigil's barely made a dent with his pathetic ass slaps.
I know there are memories in your head that can explain what happened on 17th June 10 years ago. And now it's time for you to drag them up. Mr. Vigil? Yes. The whole prison. It was complete chaos.
I've expected him to be, like, possessed or something when he rose his head.
The prisoner escaped. He was killed in the cemetery. The shocking news ripped through Berkeley like a hurricane. What?
What? Oh my god.
Order! Do you mean to say, Mr. Vigil, that your memories of the time have returned? My head, it's like some floodgates have been opened. The images, the screams. Oh my goodness. The papers. There were reports, articles about a man who'd seen a ghost. Yes, Enoch Drebber. But surely those reports were exaggerated. There were traces at the scene. Traces of what? In Lowgate Cemetery, at plot number 139. Blood. Lots of blood. That's where the man was buried, of course. Obviously, something terrible had happened there. The depths of conspiracy and depravity from which this tale is emerging are quite staggering. I've reviewed the police records from that time extensively. A thorough investigation was conducted by Scotland Yard to ascertain how the convict managed to escape in the first place. And the conclusion reached by the investigating team was that a member of the prison staff must have been involved. Are you suggesting that a prison warder abetted the man's bid for freedom?
Oh, he's really swaying now.
Yes, and I was suspected of doing it. Of using that mass murderous execution as a way to help him escape.
You did what?
I remember now. The horror of it all is coming back to me. One evening, a few days after the execution, some detectives came to the prison. I was called to the governor's office at the top of the watchtower.
Oh god. Sorry, Daly. This is a serious business. But can I help you now? As Chief Warder, you were responsible for overseeing the execution before, eh? Well, it seems the fellows at Scotland Yard want to have a few wee words with you about it. You'd better pack your things, laddie. You're to attend in person.
As soon as he told me that, my mind just went completely blank. And the next thing I knew,
He's spinning faster and faster. He's about to shove his head in that guillotine.
The professor, the most hated killer in our country's history. Then I let him escape. I'm finished. My life is over.
Ah! That was a sick transition, though. Well, we crushed a spirit.
Order! Order! Bailiff, fetch a doctor at once!
Oops. I'm not licensed to be doing this.
Court is adjourned for today with immediate effect!
Judge's not happy. Judge is not happy.
So,
we should not have done this.
With Mr. Vigil's collapse, proceedings came to an abrupt end for the day.
Well.
Once again overshadowed by the legacy of that notorious killer, appearing like a cursed ghost ship on a foggy ocean. Lord Van Zeeks, Mr. Vigil, Kazuma, and Gregson.
A lot of people.
All of them bound by invisible chains anchored to the same wreckage in the murky depths of the past. But the miraculous light that had been trying to cut through the gloom and shine on those tragic events was playing on the edges of the truth at last.
Oh, yeah, it's because I'm in town. I'm here to set the record straight. Don't you worry, Kazuma. Vigil, Van Zeeks, and Gregson, wherever you are, sipping your pina colada on a beach somewhere because you're not dead. I got you, fam. Investigation Part 2 time, 2nd November, 3:38 p.m. Sholmes' suite.
I still can't quite believe what just happened. I know. I inquired with the bailiff at the court after the court session was adjourned, and it seems Mr. Vigil was taken to hospital to recover.
As long as he doesn't try to drink a big bottle of poison, I'm sure he'll be fine.
Right. 10 years ago now, Mr. Vigil attempted to commit suicide by jumping out of the window of the prison governor's office. But ever since then, he's completely blocked the memory of those events from his mind. Nobody knew his secret. Not his family, not even the man himself. But I forced it out into the open. Was it wrong of me to do that? Did I overstep the mark, I wonder?
I mean, his secret is relevant to the case, alright? He chose to keep it from his wife. He chose to keep it from himself. But it needed to come out. It really did. For this particular instance. If we were just, like, meddling on the street or something, then obviously, you know, his business is his business. But this is a court of law, damn it, and Van Zeeks is in trouble.
Reno!
Oh, Iris.
You were miles away. Anyway, I brewed a fresh pot of soothing tea for you.
Oh, well, thank you.
You and Susie have had an exhausting day so far, haven't you? Oh.
Yes.
Thank you, Iris. How thoughtful of you.
Do you happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is? When we came out of the courtroom back into the defendant's antechamber, he had disappeared.
Oh, no, I don't know. He just suddenly sprang to his feet and left. All he said was, I must leave.
Well, at least he announced his departure.
I wonder if he's pursuing the mystery of Inspector Gregson's death.
Hopefully he is.
Well, you know what Hurley is always saying, don't you? There are mysteries in this world that should perhaps never be solved.
Huh?
For the construction of a solution comes only at the expense of the destruction of something else.
What does that mean?
He knows very well that when you open someone else's old wounds, you often open your own too. But he just can't take his own advice and leave well alone. Solving mysteries is too important to him.
That's so true. That's so Sholmes.
But that's what I like about Hurley, after all.
I suppose that's the lot of a great detective in some ways.
So then, let's have tea, and then I'll give you a hand.
Oh, do you have time, Iris?
Yes, I finished this month's manuscript at last, with barely a day to spare before the deadline. I'm so looking forward to it. A brand new story to read in the adventures of Sherlock Sholmes. You know, I always hide Hurley's violin in the days before I have a deadline.
You do? Poor Mr. Sholmes.
I'm sure that's very wise, Iris. How sensible of you. Now then, my dear fellows, let's make a plan of action before we continue our investigation.
Okay. Well, yeah, let's have a chat. This morning's trial, let's start with that.
So how'd it go in court this morning?
Well, we still don't know the truth about what really happened, but one thing's increasingly clear. Lord Van Zeeks definitely didn't do it.
Oh, goody. Oh, that's a relief. Yes, that's right. We managed to uncover several new facts as well. Oh, really?
Yes, looks like I've still got everything in my court record, too. And there was another development, too. Kazuma.
Yes, it's quite clear now that Kazuma-sama is not himself. The way he's acting, it's almost as if he's possessed.
I know. I mean, at the end of the proceedings earlier, he was like a bloodhound the way he was chasing down Mr. Vigil's forgotten past. He's not normally so mercilessly persistent. What's going on in his head, I wonder? I really need to sit down with Kazuma and try to understand what he's going through. Afraid that's gonna have to wait till after the trial, I think. The Reaper's innocence. If Gregson was really murdered the day before his body was discovered, then Lord Van Zeeks has to be innocent, you see.
What? The day before? Well, that should be easy enough to work out. Just by examining the corpse, surely. Yes, you would expect so. But curiously, no time of death was included in the autopsy report.
Why?
That is curious.
There are still unanswered questions about Lord Van Zeeks, though, aren't there?
Do you mean...
I mean, what was he doing there on Fresno Street that day in the first place?
Well, according to the man's testimony, he said he was investigating Inspector Gregson, didn't he?
And it turns out that little room was actually the inspector's secret office.
Ooh, that sounds like it has all the makings of a wonderfully devilish plot.
Oh, it's devilish, all right. But then why was that notice board in there covered in all those particular papers? Papers about cases with a link to the Reaper. I'm starting to get a bad feeling about all this.
Oh dear, that sounds more like something horribly devilish. We must start by looking into Inspector Gregson's movements of late.
Oh, we will. Gregson's movements. I never imagined I might have to be investigating an inspector's movements.
Well, according to the entry in his diary, he was carrying out an incognito investigation of the Red-Headed League the day before his death. Oh, you mean he was doing the same as Hurley?
Well, Mr. Shells was trying to apply, whereas the inspector was supposed to be investigating.
I do wish it had been the other way around.
Anyway, as it turns out, the inspector who went to investigate the Red-Headed League that day wasn't actually Gregson at all. It was Mr. Vigil, in possession of Gregson's identification, running a odd job for him.
You know what that sounds like to me? Establishing an alibi. Oh my. Yes, you're absolutely right, Iris.
But why would Gregson need an alibi?
It would appear that the inspector had something to do that he wished to keep secret. I don't believe it. I always thought he was just a harmless lover of fish and chips.
I never even saw him eating fish, so it was dodgy from the start. Perhaps they were seasoned with something a little more potent than salt and vinegar. Can you include that in your manuscript? I thought that sounded noir-like.
I think perhaps we should try to move away from food analogies.
Thank you, Susato. I was getting carried away there. Well, anyway, I've had my fill. If Lord Van Zeeks felt the need to investigate Gregson.
Yes, I agree. We must try to find out what he knows.
Means a visit to Van Zeeks in prison. I don't mind that. Mr. Vigil's condition.
Vigil, you say? Isn't that the name of the lady who came to visit Hurley yesterday? That's right. To ask Mr. Sholmes if he would help her to find her missing husband.
Only Mr. Sholmes completely passed the buck to us. Actually, didn't you say that Mr. Vigil had been taken to the hospital? You know which one?
Ah, it's St. Sinners.
I'm starting to wonder if all the other hospitals in London have closed down.
But that's amazing, Rene. You found the lady's husband already.
I know. I'm damn good at my job, aren't I? Well, I suppose I have. By accident. Should have left that last part out, Ryunosuke, so you look like a hero.
And 10 years ago, while Mr. Vigil was the chief warder at the prison, He was responsible for overseeing the professor's incarceration. No.
So when the convict escaped, he was held responsible and immediately dismissed.
Sometimes I really don't want to grow up.
Don't. Stay a kid forever, Iris. There's more. For 10 years after that, while he was ostensibly working as a peddler, he also had another secret job. Gregson's beard, I suppose. He was paid by Gregson to be his stand-in, to impersonate the inspector.
To impersonate Grexy? But why?
I wonder, did you brew tea for him by accident one day? I have absolutely no idea.
Ugh, Ginny was right. I'm starting to think all adults are up to no good now.
Hey, you sound like you fit in Persona 5 game.
Including you, Rune.
I haven't paid anyone to impersonate me.
That means he has ties to the Professor and to Inspector Gregson, though. So I do think we ought to pay a visit to Mr. Vigil, don't you?
Back to St. Sinners, then. Okay, well, we've got a few destinations to check out.
Well, I think it's clear what we need to do, isn't it? Let us investigate, my dear fellows.
Three's a crowd.
Oh, Iris, you're even more enthusiastic than usual today. If anyone has anything to hide, my special Wilson shooting iron will soon set them straight.
That? Water pistol? Oh, don't tempt her.
It's stuff full of a piping hot, extra special blend of mine. And I'm quite sure it would be very effective.
You're gonna give someone like third-degree burns? Better be careful not to hide anything. Well, it feels a little strange that Mr. Shums is nowhere to be seen, but still. Let's go and see what we can find out.
Yes!
Alright, ladies. Let's make a move. We can go to the Lord Chief Justice's office, and Susato says we haven't been here for quite some time, so maybe there's something waiting for us here. Oh, it's Kazuma. Let's have a sit down. I'll take the throne. 2nd November, British Supreme Court, Lord Chief Justice's office. No arguments, Professor Asogi. You will continue with the trial exactly as I instructed. Is that clear?
Perfectly. It's Kazuma-sama.
Defying Lord Strongheart by the sound of it. He never did know when to back down. Uh-oh. They've seen me. On your way now, Asogi.
My lord. Hi. Kazuma.
Okay. Sheesh. Wants me to trust him, doesn't even want to hang out with me outside of court. He left without saying a word. Yes, what are you doing here? Oh, I was just hoping to ask you a few questions, if you wouldn't mind. I wanted Van Zeeks' trial concluded today. But Prosecutor Asogi's unwelcome inquiries are going to make it longer than necessary. Unwelcome inquiries? As a result, I'm losing even more precious time. Currently 2 hours, 55 minutes, and 41 seconds. 42, 43.
Then we must resolve everything before 3 hours have passed, Mr. Naruhodo.
In a miraculous not even 5 minutes? Anyway, I can't let the man's obvious bad mood put me off. I need information. Stat. Talk to me. The Reaper. Does Prosecutor Asogi believe that Lord Van Zeeks is the Reaper? I wouldn't know. It was 10 years ago, in that fateful closed trial, that Lord Van Zeeks made a name for himself among the judiciary. But the next trial he fought, he lost. It meant the ringleader of a criminal organization was acquitted, thanks to all the jurors being under duress. But that's awful. The man's freedom was short-lived. He lasted just 3 days.
Yes, let me see. He died in a rock slide at his place of work, I believe.
Okay, seems like an accident. Correct. That was the inauguration of the Reaper of the Bailey. And people believed Lord Van Zeeks was responsible for causing a rock slide? He was brought to trial himself, but it was shown to have been an accident. So he must have had a solid alibi then. Nevertheless, the mysterious deaths continued. In total, 16 persons perished in unusual circumstances,
ostensibly at the hands of the Reaper. We love that word this episode, ostensibly. Remember it. Burn it into your eyeballs. That's a long run of coincidences.
Well, the Reaper's true identity may well be revealed by this trial.
And the impact that revelation would have on the British public cannot be understated. I can only imagine, since you're the real Reaper, Strongheart. Is that why it's a closed trial? Precisely. Well, speaking of closed trial, ostensibly closed, this country hasn't seen a closed trial for 10 years.
So the last one was the Professor's? The trial of Ryunosuke?
Correct. Actually, we heard that originally. You were going to prosecute that trial yourself, Lord Strongheart. Van Zieks entreated me to relinquish the prosecution to him, that he might avenge his brother's death. And here we are, 10 years later. With the son of the man Van Zieks had condemned now looking to avenge his father's death in the same way. It's like you're writing a soap opera here, Strongheart, considering you got all your fingers in all the pies. They do say that what goes around comes around. However, it would seem that the new young prosecutor is harboring some ulterior motive as well.
Cosmos?
I like my organization to run smoothly, in the exact manner that I prescribe. Oh, okay, so you're an overbearing manager. Gotcha. Micromanaging. As with the giant clock in here, better get that word right, I won't tolerate a single cog being out of step with the others. You know, it's important to get that word right, especially when you call this guy Long Strongheart once upon a time. A big clock. So that's what all those gears are about in here. If the young man refuses to mesh with the other parts of my great machine, I will be forced to take steps.
What do you mean?
Plausible deniability. Not something with which you need concern yourself. In any case, all your questions will be answered tomorrow.
Really?
Say that with confidence. We've only had 2-day trials for, since the second Ace Attorney game, I think. Now I shall have to ask you to excuse me. As of this moment, I've been delayed from attending my next meeting by precisely 3 hours.
Oh my, that is a long time.
Okay, we're not responsible for the entire 3 hours, okay? Maybe like 2 minutes. Don't blame us. And I hold you entirely responsible. What did I just say? Even though we miraculously managed to fit everything into not even 5 minutes? I wonder if you might agree to us talking with Prosecutor Asogi? Discussions between the defense and the prosecution outside of the courtroom are generally frowned upon. That doesn't mean it's illegal. However, I will make an exception in this case. Now go. You can find him in his office.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, Lord Strongheart, go you.
Let's go to see him at once. Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh yeah, we will. Kazuma's my best friend in the world, but I'm really not at all sure I know how to talk to him at the moment. Okay, well, let's work up the courage before we do. In the meantime, let's go to prison. I want to talk to Van Zieks. Need to reassure my client that everything's okay. It's in the bag. I've got it all under control. We're putting out fires. 2nd November, local prison, cell 1.
Lord Van Zieks is reading, look.
I miss his overbearing voice that I give him.
He doesn't seem like he wants visitors, does he?
But he must have noticed that we're here, surely. He's just pretending again. Or maybe not. What do you Nipponese want? Oh, Iris. That's no way to greet the lawyer who's trying his hardest to prove your innocence, is it? Perhaps not. Oh, wow. He's taking it back. He's apologizing. I apologize. So, what can I do for you, Mr. Naruhodo? Lord Van Zeeks, speaking earnestly. Oh, the fog will lift over London for the first time in months tomorrow.
This does feel very, very strange. Tell me everything you know. I must say I was impressed. Oh, well, thank you. Not by you, by your fellow Nipponese. Your prosecutor friend. Oh. I see, yes. It's sardonic, don't you think? For a man such as me, so loathing of the Nipponese, to be entirely at the mercy of the two of you. I suppose it's retribution for having played the part of the Reaper all these years. Played the part? What does that mean? Speak to me, the Reaper's identity. Are you embracing it? You once told me that you gladly allowed people to believe you were the Reaper, because it helped reduce the amount of serious crime that took place in London. If keeping quiet and playing the part benefits the cause, a cause I myself am committed to pursuing, then why would I choose to say anything? But the henchman of a criminal killed by the Reaper attacked you only the other day, and that was just the most recent of many attempts on your life, wasn't it? Someone is clearly profiting from your silence about all this. Someone is using you! Believe me, ever since the Reaper first appeared, I've been doing my utmost to expose him. Or rather, expose the organization.
An entire organization? It's a whole organization?
It's inconceivable that all those accidents were orchestrated by one man. You'd be surprised. No, the Reaper always appears to have very accurate information about the accused in each case, which can only mean that somebody at Scotland Yard is involved, or the judiciary.
Someone at... You can't mean...
It's taken me many years, but I've finally identified the central figure in this Reaper organization. Don't tell me it's Gregson. Tobias Gregson.
No. No! Gregson, the Reaper.
Creating alibis so what, he could go around killing people? Gregson's secret.
So, the reason you were investigating Inspector Gregson is because you intended to expose him as the Reaper?
As I said, the Reaper of the Bailey is no single person. It's a highly secret organization with close ties to Scotland Yard. But there's no doubt that Gregson was a key member of that organization.
I don't believe it. Was he? Or did he infiltrate it to investigate? Are you saying that Gregsy? That he was behind all those awful criminals meeting there?
Gregson didn't do the dirty work himself.
Oh.
He was the tactician. His job was to covertly investigate the marks and plot their assassinations. In order to do that without arousing suspicion, he regularly needed a firm alibi.
Which is where Mr. Vigil came in, posing as the inspector.
Vigil knows nothing of the Reaper, but the room he rents on Fresno Street was almost certainly the headquarters of the operation. Gregson would have met the assassin there before briefings. So we don't actually know who carried out the killings there. Actually, I do have a name.
You what? You have a name and you're only telling me on day 2? What if you can name the man? You have the true identity of the Reaper already then.
Or if I can name the woman.
Oh.
Don't tell me it was Giselle Brandt. Huh? Or something of the sort, imagine that.
Oh.
She's a young woman by the name of Assassin. Okay, it's all tying together. Wait. What? Shin?
Miss Assassin. The true name of a terrifying killer I know only too well. She came to Japan posing as a visiting student and murdered Dr. John H. Wilson. And then just when it seemed that diplomatic protection would help her escape Japan and conviction, the mysterious woman was herself murdered in a small summer beach hut. And that woman was actually the Reaper of the Bailey? Oh my god. Mr. Naruhodo, this perhaps isn't the place to discuss. No, of course not. We can't mention it here. That Susato was instrumental in taking down the Reaper of the Bailey. The fact that she killed Dr. John H. Wilson. We must remember to say his middle name, because Iris doesn't know, and it's very likely that the man was her father. Assassin. I should let father know at once. Yes, I agree. Interesting. Okay, Prosecutor Asogi now. Kazuma, isn't it? Kazuma Asogi. You say he's a friend of yours. My best friend. He's the whole reason I got to come to Britain. It was all on his merits. I have nothing but respect for him. Yes, I understand that only the very best students are selected for such opportunities. And I had a fine demonstration of how sharp he is in the proceedings earlier today. He missed nothing. What? He stumbled a few times, plus I've been cooler than that in the past. In fact, his flawless performance very much reminded me of his father. Genshin Asogi, the professor, in case we forgot. It's true that the aristocracy at the time was the root of numerous grave societal problems. They were abusing their power, playing with the common man as pawns in politics, in economics, in war. In many ways, Asogi was carving out a canker from society that we British couldn't deal with ourselves. I see. But that's precisely why it makes no sense. Clint Van Zieks was a noble and upstanding man. He wasn't corrupt. Why did that damn Nipponese have to go and take my brother's life? I don't think it was him. In spite of having once saved mine. He saved your life? How did that happen? Tell me. He saved your life? It was 10 years ago, on a foggy night. What was to be the professor's final strike had sent a wave of panic through the capital. So Clint Van Zieks had already been killed at this point, then. Genshin and I were walking down some back streets at a late hour. Of course, at that point, I had no idea of the true nature of the man at my side. All of a sudden. Don't make a peep, you're coming with us. Oh. We were surrounded. All of our assailants were armed with pistols, their faces obscured by scarves. Clint was not only from noble heritage, he was a brilliant prosecutor as well. The scum of London hated the sight of him, and they had no sympathy for his younger brother either. I'd been targeted several times before already. Yeah, it's Van Zieks, alright, we got him. I could hear them murmuring amongst themselves. I knew they were after me. But just when I thought my time had come, if I let them kill you, Clint would never forgive me. It was Asogi's voice, just a whisper in my ear. Whoa. He had a gun? After that, I don't remember exactly what happened. Don't tell me we need to unlock your memories too. The next thing I knew, there was silence all around. Genshin lay on the cobbled street. Blood was seeping from his left hand. He'd shielded me. Oh. Try to catch the bullet with his bare hand? 2 days later, they arrested him. On suspicion of being London's most notorious mass murderer ever. The Professor. How awful for you. All at once, I lost the brother I revered and the foreign friend I held in such high regard. I'm so sorry, Lord Van Zieks. Whew. That's the end of my miserable tale. I never thought I'd recount it to anyone. Well, thank you for confiding in me. The Professor, the Reaper, and Inspector Gregson. I wonder just how intimately related they all are. I still can't quite believe that Gregson was essentially the Reaper, giving assassination orders to Giselle Brett. Mr. Naruhodo, let's go and inform my father. I'm sure our government will want to hear about this new information. Oh, that means I get to meet your daddy, Susie. Hooray!
Oh god, I hope he doesn't let slip that your father's dead. Yes, alright. Let's head back to the Great Waterloo Hotel then. Well, make yourself comfortable there, Van Zeeks. We'll be back in a jiffy, I promise.